Hello everybody, my name is Ashton and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be discussing how myself and my partner got our learner's permit in Victoria, Australia. The first step was to sign up for a 2-day course. You can find these courses by searching online and go to your local provider. When you arrive at this course, you will be greeted by your trainer. Initially, you will go into the classroom for a meet and greet, and then our instructor said that the best way to learn is by doing. So we were brought out to the range to get to know our motorbikes. At my course, the bikes were provided. So we were assigned a bike that fit our size, and that would be our bike for the full 2 days. We started by learning the basic controls of the bike and doing simple exercises like maneuvering the bike while it's off and waddling the bike. Next, we got on the bikes and practiced riding in a straight line. Then we practiced cornering left and cornering right. After this, we continued to learn through gear changes, weaving, and by the end of day 1, you will have practiced everything up to emergency braking at 20 to 25 kilometers an hour. You also spend some time in the classroom doing theory learning. But of the 8-hour day, we spent maybe 1.5 hours inside. You finish off day 1 with a written test. This test is multiple choice and has 32 questions. You can get up to 7 questions wrong and still get a pass. In my class, I only got 1 question wrong, and the worst score out of the 5 of us was 4 questions wrong. So as long as you do your research beforehand, and there's a booklet available on the Vic Roads website, you should be fine. On day 2, you start by practicing what you learned on day 1, and then you go into an on-range test just before lunchtime. The on-range test is comprised of a multitude of skills that you have just learnt over the last day and a half. The first test is walk and park your motorcycle. What you will do is you will approach the bike from the left-hand side. You will do a head check. This means to look around you and make sure nothing's coming, and to make sure it's safe to get on the bike. You will then put the kickstand up, walk the bike to the start position of the test. You will use the front brake to control the bike during this. Then you will do another head check, put the kickstand down, and then wait next to the bike for the next instructions. The next step of the test is to mount the bike and get in the ready position. So what you'll do is you'll do a head check, you'll swing your leg over the bike, holding the front brake while you do so. You'll then put your kickstand up and finish in the ready position. Now the ready position is when you have your right foot on the rear brake, your left foot on the ground stabilizing the bike, your left hand on the clutch, and your right hand on the throttle, ready to take off. The next part of the test is to locate the controls. So the instructor will stand in front of your bike and ask you to go through the controls. This includes turning the bike on, using the horn, activating the lights and indicators. This section cannot be failed. It just gives you a feedback error. So if you look at the controls to do one, so say left indicator, and you look down to use the left indicator, at the end of the test, the instructor will come to you and go, hey, you need to learn to do it without looking down. The next skill in the test is a controlled stop. You will need to ride approximately 10 meters and stop in a box. So to do this, you'll conduct a head check, ride forward at a speed of your choosing, stop with your front tyre in a box without skidding. Now you must stop in the ready position, and the box on the ground is about 1 meter by 1 meter square. The fourth part of the test is a sharp left turn. So to complete this, you will do a head check, leave the box, indicate to the left, navigate through the markings on the ground through a left turn. Once the turn is completed, make sure you turn your indicator off, travel around the course and stop at the original start position. The next skill tested is a slow ride. You will need to be able to ride 15 meters in 10 seconds or longer. To complete this section of the test, you'll want to do a head check. You'll want to ride forward, and then once you cross the line, which is about 2 meters, 3 meters in front of your starting position, you'll ride slowly with the clutch engaged and using the rear brake to keep your speed. Then you'll be asked to stop at the end. Now, you must do this in over 10 seconds or it is a fail. The next skill that you're tested on is change of path above 20 kilometers an hour. To complete this skill test, you will need to take off on your bike, build speed, and change your position in lane while going over 20 kilometers an hour. There will be a marking on the course that is a diagonal line, and this is meant to represent railroad tracks. So what you'll need to do, if you're approaching that line from the right side of your lane, you'll need to go across that line to the left side of the lane. And you will need to be above 20 kilometers an hour when you do this. You'll then stop at the next zone. The next and final skill tested is emergency braking. So what you will do here is, again, you do a head check. You ride a full loop of the range. You must be in second gear. And when you cross the line, you must be going above 20 kilometers an hour. If you are doing 20 kilometers an hour, you must stop within 4 meters. The faster you go, the more distance you have to stop, but most people do it at 21, 22, 23 km an hour. On this skill test, the most common cause for failure is reaching your hands out early to apply the clutch and the front brake. Because you know a stop is coming up, it is instant to get ready for that stop. You must really mentally prepare yourself to not reach out to stop until you cross that line. Throughout the entire skill test, you are assessed on your riding posture. If you stall, if you lug, if you over rev the bike, if you put a foot down, if you drop the bike, and if you fail to follow any directions given by your instructor. On each aspect of the test, you are marked either a feedback error, a safety error, or a fail error. A feedback error, this means that the instructor will tell you need to work on it, but it doesn't affect the outcome of the test. An example of this is if you were to look down at the lights or the blinker to activate the control, you'll get a note saying, hey, you need to work on the controls. Next, a safety error. Now, a safety error is a 3 strike system, so you can fail 2 out of 3 and still pass the test no problem. If you fail 3 out of 3, you must resit and retake the test. And the final type of error is a fail error. This is an automatic fail of the test. You must come back and retake the test. Now, if you do need to come back and retake the practical on-range test, you just come back for day 2 again. You join the group that's currently going through it, and you just work through that day again. Now, perfect, you've passed the test. What happens next is you'll have a bit of a break for lunch, and then you'll come back and you'll need to pass an on-road assessment. Now, my instructor explained this as less of an assessment and more of giving you exposure to a real-world trial in a controlled environment as much as they can make it so. So as long as you don't do anything stupid, like breaking the laws or ignoring your instructor, you will pass this portion. It's to give you real-life experience before they just let you on the road by yourself. Now, for the on-road assessment, you will go out on the road and ride around in a predetermined area. For us, we went out to a small residential section of our town, right next to the training range. Each student takes a turn leading the group in both a left-hand loop and a right-hand loop. So what happened for us is the instructor goes first and shows you the route and where to go. Then they park at a designated parking spot. What happens next is a student will lead. And so the order will be, for example, I'm leading, the instructor's second, and then the rest of the class is behind that. we will complete a lap. So for an example, we will complete a lap of the left-hand loop, stop at the same spot the instructor stopped. Everyone will get off their bikes. We'll talk about how the lap went, what went well, what could be improved on, and then the next student will lead, and you do that over and over again until everyone has completed it. You do this both for a left-hand lap and a right-hand lap so that the instructor can give you as much feedback as possible. Once everyone has completed their laps, you'll go back to the test center and the instructor will do their paperwork, and at the end, you leave with a paper permit. Congrats, you've got your license. Now that you have your permit, you can take that paper permit and your driver's license and ride on the road. They will issue out a proper learner's permit for your motorcycle. Mine took about 3.5 weeks to be sent out. I know my partner's was similar. And that's my experience of getting my learner's permit in Victoria. If you have any questions or want more tips, feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and ride safe.
Well done. Much better, much better. My horn says well, I can barely hear it.